the image-bearing status in people continues, male and female. And that becomes the justification or the logic for the institution of human government through the Noahic covenant that God gave to Noah. So the biblical position on government is really not right-wing or left-wing. If you think about the political spectrum, as you move further and further to the right, let's go to my right here, what happens is there's a philosophy of government where the government becomes less and less and less. And you move into almost like a libertarian philosophy on the right wing. Libertarianism is basically hands-off in economic matters, and it's also hands-off in terms of abortion or pornography or prosecution of drugs or whatever. So right wing is actually no government at all, which obviously is not the biblical position, because God himself gave the institution of government in what's called the Noahic covenant. Now, when you go to the left wing, what are they talking about? They're talking about maximum government, where the government basically controls everything, cradle to grave. And as you start moving to the left, you move into socialism, and then eventually on the far left is communism. So left, if you properly understand the political spectrum, is maximum government. Right is no government. And so when people call you as a Christian, well, you must be a radical right-winger, they don't really understand the political spectrum. Basically, it goes back to parliaments where socialists sat on either the right or the left, communists sat on either the right or the left, and so they started to identify right or left based on where they sat in parliament, and that's not a proper understanding of the political spectrum. The political spectrum is left, total government, right, no government. So the biblical position on government is basically you are right in the middle. In other words, you're mainstream, as much as they want to say you're a radical right-winger. Because government has a function to restrain evil, but there's not a lot in the Bible about how the government's supposed to be a safety net for those who can't take care of themselves. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find any biblical passage that supports that. That's more the role of charity, the role of the church. So we're certainly not on the far left, because we don't teach that the Bible teaches maximum government, and we certainly aren't on the right either, where there's no government at all, because we believe that government was given by God to restrain evil. So basically what we are is we're in the middle. We're neither right wing nor left wing. And the United States Constitution, that's basically where it is. It's in the middle. It has a role for government. Clearly government's powers are enumerated in the United States Constitution. But at the same time, as you go through the United States Constitution, you'd be hard-pressed to find anything that says the role of government is socialism, a safety net, education, health care, Social Security, all of these kinds of things that government has taken on to today. So the Constitution is neither right-wing nor left-wing. It's in the middle. The biblical position on government is neither right-wing nor left-wing. It's in the middle. And your views on government, if you're trying to pattern them after the Bible, is really neither right-wing nor left-wing, but it's right there in the middle. And that's important because when people use these terms right or left, they don't really understand how the political spectrum works. They're going by the old model where, socialists sat over here and communists sat over here in Parliament. So there's a lot of confusion on that. And why did I go into all of that? I have no idea, but it was an ecstatic utterance, I guess. But what I want you to see is government came into existence with the covenant with Noah because God gave government a function to punish crime. And if you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime, and human beings they'll be held back from crime for fear of punishment. The scary thing is when there's some kind of mob type of situation or power failure. This happened in Los Angeles, I remember, with the Rodney King riots. You remember all of that? Where people figured out that they could do whatever they wanted and not be caught. And the police could not get into Los Angeles. And you know how that story ended. It was just massive looting, and people walked into stores and just took whatever they wanted, etc. That's what the world would be like with no government. That basically is what it was like before the flood. And the problem with that is you have people killing each other and murdering each other, and you have blood being spilled of image bearers, and God doesn't want blood spilled of image bearers because he values human beings, and so he actually ordained the institution of human government to protect the image bearer. And this is all found in the Noahic covenant. So you'll notice here that man still bears God's image post-fall, post-flood.